Laura Ingalls Wilder was born on February 7, 1867, in Pepin, Wisconsin. Her parents were Charles and Caroline Ingalls. Laura had 3 sisters, Mary, Grace, and Carrie. Laura and her family moved multiple times. Laura and Almanzo got married on August 25, 1885, in Desmet, South Dakota. She gave birth to Rose on December 5, 1886. They moved to Mansfield, Missouri from South Dakota in 1894. Along the way, Laura kept a diary of her journey.
What do you think made Laura and Almanzo move to Mansfield?
It was the moderate climate. Back in Desmet, when Almanzo was about 29 or 30, he and Laura both had a case of diphtheria. It was an epidemic that was going around. And Almanzo didn't listen to his doctor and didn't rest as long as he should have after the diphtheria. And he went to work on the farm and had a stroke. And the stroke paralyzed his right side so that in later years, the cold weather in South Dakota really bothered him. And at first they tried moving to Florida for a year, in Westfield, Florida, in the Panhandle. But the humidity was too much for Laura, and besides, they were Northerners in Southern Territory about 25 years after the Civil War.
Laura and Almanzo purchased the Rocky Ridge Farm on September of 1894. The Wilders built their farmhouse, which took them about 17 years to complete. The Wilders' farm was 40 acres that cost them about $400. The land included about 400 apple trees. They later bought more acres of land, and the farm grew to 185 acres. They had livestock, apple trees, and many other crops, but they were never really successful with their farm. They always had to take on some other job to supplement their farm income. In the 20s, Rose had to send them about $500 a year to help them pay taxes. Rose even bought them their first car, a 23 Buick touring car. She tried to teach her mother and father how to drive. Almanzo took to driving better than Laura did. Laura did not like driving because she had trouble reaching the pedals and shifting gears because she was only 4'11". Laura and Almanzo were both very small. Almanzo only stood at 5'4". Their house was modified to fit them with short counters, small showers, and narrow staircases.
Laura was active in many clubs and organizations. She was a part of Eastern Star, Justimere Club, the Athenians of Hartville, and she also attended the church at a Methodist church. The Wilders were Democrats until President Franklin Roosevelt was elected. Laura started writing for the Missouri Ruralist in 1911. Rose gave her mother the idea of turning her diaries into books to publish. She helped her mother write her books at their dining room table. The first book, Little House in the Big Woods, was published in 1932. Farmer Boy in 1933. Little House on the Prairie in 1935. On the Banks of Plum Creek in 1937. By the Shores of Silver Lake in 1939. The Long Winter in 1940. Little Town on the Prairie in 1943, and These Happy Golden Years, also in 1943. Laura's diary, On the Way Home, was published by Rose in 1962. Laura's goal was to live until she was 90 years old. She passed away 3 days after her 90th birthday on February 10th, 1957. When did the farmhouse open up as a museum?
That is very interesting. You just asked me about Laura's lifespan, and when she died, as I said, the property had been sold as a living trust or reverse mortgage, and the house should have reverted to the person that bought the property. But Rose was here at her mother's death, and she was able to buy back the house and about 2 or 3 acres around, because Laura had been talking around about the possibility of maybe her house opening up as a museum after she passed away. And so Rose, as I said, bought the house and 2 or 3 acres, and 3 months after Laura passed away, the friends of Laura's in the community formed an association and opened up the house as a museum. And that's why we have all the authentic things in the house that were Laura's.